Hello everyone, my name is Catherine Holyfield. I'm the STS National Database Manager for Intermacs and Pedimacs. Today is our Intermacs and Pedimacs user group webinar. This is where we'll do a question and answer session from the data managers or any of the site staff for Intermacs and Pedimacs or any other questions that you may have, data entry. We can take some reporting questions. I think we will go ahead and get started. So I hope everyone's doing well today on this last day of March, which is hard to believe. I just want to introduce the Intermacs Data Warehouse team. We have Patricia Potter, who is the quality nurse for Intermacs and Pedimacs, Jeannie Ann Love, who is the patient management director and handles a lot with the data entry questions and the patient transfers. We have Dr. Ryan Cantor, but I don't believe he is on today. He's the director of reporting. We do have Maceo Cliche on the call today on the webinar. Devin Coles, one of the clinical data analysts. She also helps with the reporting, specifically the live data downloads. And we have John Pennington, who is our senior data manager at the Intermacs Data Warehouse. And John puts together all that great data that you enter into the database. From STS, we have Carol Crone, who's the senior manager for the clinical databases. And we have Leanne Jones, who is the STS National Database Manager for General Thoracic Surgery Database and the Congenital Heart Surgery Database. So I know we've been discussing this for about a year now, but I just want to go ahead and go over again the COVID-19 update. I know many sites are still doing televisits, and those are still encouraged. I would encourage sites, especially for the quality of life surveys. They may be done over the phone or by mail. And I know that by mail is not ideal, but I appreciate all the sites and all the hard work that you put into getting these follow-up quality of life surveys completed. I know scheduling's been a little difficult and been off during this time. So you still have the extra 30 days after the follow-up window due date to enter your data for the COVID-19 exception. You will enter the last date of that follow-up window. So if you have a follow-up window date from January 1st to April 1st, April 1st would be that last day of the follow-up, and that's the date you would use, even let's say if your follow-up visit was April 15th. And I appreciate everyone who's continued to enter good quality data into the database. So for the webinar today, it'll be an open discussion. You can use the Q&A function. Actually today, we're gonna enable the raised hand function. So you may use that especially if we have a question that might need a little bit more information as has occurred in the past. So you can turn your mic on and elaborate on the question if necessary. We'll answer as many questions as possible today. We encourage your feedback. We want to hear from you. I will let you know, I know this first quarter of 2021, we've really focused on the version 6 question and answers. Starting next month, we're actually gonna have more focused webinars. So I'm happy to take your comments or suggestions regarding what you would specifically like to ask. Or to have on a webinar to be reviewed. We will continue having our reporting webinars, and the next reporting webinar will be April 15th. Again, for your questions, you can use the Q&A function, and you may use the raised hand function. Just remember to turn on your mic. So I want to give you the contacts for your Intermacs and Pedimacs web-based data entry questions, or you can contact Patricia Potter, myself, or the Intermacs FAQ web box. You may also, for reporting questions, we've got the Intermacs reports at uabmc.edu available for any reporting questions. So I appreciate everyone joining. The next user group webinar will be April 28th at 1 p.m. Central Time. And again, the reporting webinar will be April 15th, 2021. So at this time, I am going to go to Maceo Cleget because he has an update on the site reports that you receive every quarter. So Maceo, I appreciate it. Just kind of give a brief overview.
Yes, hi everyone. Reports for the 2020 Q4 range is going to be a little bit delayed. We're in the midst of adding 2 more extra reports to the packet, the zip packet that you will receive. We're creating a comprehensive report that will include all of your patients rolled up into one report. You will receive the cumulative QA report with all your patients and a recent year report with all your patients included. And then we should have it available and uploaded to you in about the next 2 weeks, at least by April 9th, 10th.
Yes, and thank you, Maceo. And this is regards to the Intermacs site reports. I believe the Pedimacs reports will be
uploaded today.
Okay, great. And just another reporting follow-up. We are in the process of reviewing the reports and seeing how we can make the reports better, more useful at your site. Are there things that need to be removed? What can we add that's relevant and that will help your site? So if you have any questions or suggestions, always go ahead and email the intermacs.reports email address, so we can definitely take in your comments and suggestions. So we'll go ahead and get started. For the first question I have, should we be indicating yes to thrombolytics for bivalirudin bridging, or is there another way it should be captured? For the bivalirudin, if you're doing a bridging for that, if you're doing it in the hospital, you would capture it under medical management. That's where I would enter that, but you would always answer yes for the question under the medication forms. And Patricia, do you have anything to add with that? I know you've had real world experience, so anything you can add would be great.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Sarah, that's a good question. I would classify it on the med form with the anticoagulants as it is inhibitor, not a thrombolytic. That's where I think it should be captured.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can take the next question if you'd like, Catherine. Sarah, should octreotide be documented under any of the medication categories? And I don't think that octreotide is classified under the meds that we capture. Do you agree, Catherine?
I agree. That's interesting. It is not under any of the, we did not ask for that. We don't have a classification for it.
Okay. And then our next question is, I often use discharge summary to enter adverse events. Are discharge hemodynamics appropriate, or is it preferred to be captured, or is it preferred to capture admission hemodynamics? I'm not sure I'm understanding the question correctly. I think
it sounds like, so on the discharge form, I know we have at the bottom of the form, we ask all those questions of if there's any procedures, and it is similar to an AE listing. The intent of those being listed on the discharge form is anything that's occurred from the implant up until the discharge has occurred. So you may enter them there. However, if it is a major adverse event, because I know that they're not all the major adverse, I don't believe any of the major adverse events are listed on that implant discharge form. And I'm not for sure about, or is it preferred to capture on the admission hemodynamics? If you could elaborate on that.
Okay, and then the next question, is it possible to have future site reports be broken down by device type? We are interested in looking at HeartMate 3 data specifically at our organization.
Marcio, do you have any response to that?
Let's see. Let me reread the question.
I can jump in here too.
Yeah.
I'm on the client.
Hey, Dr.
Catherine.
Cantor. Great.
So we just need to talk about that, Catherine, with the STS leadership. In principle, it's not hard to add an exhibit or two about, limiting it to, HeartMate 3 outcome only. I don't think we could label it as such. I think we'd have to say that it was like the broader device category and flow type. So it would be whatever STS was comfortable with, though. So I'm not sure about that.
This is Carol. That's a great point. We usually do not allow for device comparisons, so we would not want to break it out by device type.
Thank you, Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate
Okay,
that.
the next question from Cheryl, follow-up form. The prior sternotomy questions, does that include the sternotomy for the VAD procedure? It's a really good question, Cheryl. We're going to be posting our FAQs here shortly, and this is one that we did address in there. There's a lot of questions around the prior sternotomy, and when it's asked for the prior sternotomy on the pre-implant form, no, or on the implant form, no, we would not capture the sternotomy for this VAD procedure. It would just be if they had any procedures prior to this that had a sternotomy.
Thanks, Patricia.
Yeah. And then the next question.
Yeah, I can take this, Patricia.
Okay.
For many, sometimes I cannot capture unstable hemodynamics as there are limits on the minimum and maximums for those fields, e.g. low maps. How can I capture this, or how should I document in those fields? And yes, we do, just because of data integrity, we do have limits, the minimum and max on those fields. If you can send me an email, if this is consistently happening on your patients, if you can just send me an email, Minnie, and I can look over the labs and then talk to the team about if we need to need to lower or adjust those. The next question from Tiandra, under comorbidities for psychosocial issues, will there be an added option to capture financial limitations? And Tiandra, this is a really good point. Definitely something that I will look into. Carol, in adult cardiac, do you capture this?
Yeah, we've actually kind of removed those fields. We do capture like some of the socioeconomic status by looking at demographics, where they live, and things like that. But related to psychosocial issues, when we're getting into things like chronic psychological issues, or if they have a diagnosis of it and it might be wavering back or forth between the family and the patient, if it's really a true diagnosis, those are things that we just found that the data quality wasn't there, so we've removed them.
Okay.
But we do capture socioeconomic economic status through looking at the demographics. That's why the address and zip code are important, and I think you've added those in, Catherine. Yeah.
They are, I know they are in the queue to be programmed. And so, like, John, do you have an update on that? On adding the address and zip code?
I would say it's in the queue right now for the stuff that we're implementing. What we've got the queue for those late changes that came in with version 6, and then a group of tickets that are just kind of the outstanding stuff after that. I couldn't give you a timeline though right now. I would have to either punt that to Rama or Nick's on the call, but I don't know how involved he is in the current development to be able to answer that either. But it's in the queue.
Yeah, I know it's definitely going to be added pretty soon. So.
The other things we look at, Catherine, the other things, this is Carol again, the other things we look at are the insurance. So dual eligible patients and patients who are self-pay, usually those are good indicators of socioeconomic, I can't say that word today for some reason, but SES factors. So we look at those as well. And I think you're collecting all of those in Intermacs regarding dual eligible patients.
Yes, we do. We do capture those. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard Chase. I'm sorry, Chase. I forgot you were here.
Chase.
Chase would be able to speak to the development better than I could.
Yeah, so the plan is to have all those post 6.0 tickets done by the end of April.
Oh, great. That's another variable that we can look at regarding financial limitations. That was a really good question, Tiandra. Thank you. The next question from Cindy is, where do we find the FAQs? The FAQs actually, currently what's posted, it's at the intermacs.org website. And currently they will be, right now we have the user's guide, the PowerPoint training session, and it will be listed in that section. Off the top of my head, I do not know what appendix that is right now, but it'll be right in there with the user's guide in the PowerPoint training session. And I think I'm going to work with Patricia, and hopefully we will get that posted also by the end of April.
You can take the next question, Catherine.
Sure.
Ashley, I think one of the prior questions was regarding filling out an adverse event form. The person asking said she uses the discharge summary from the medical record to find any AEs that may have happened during a readmission and takes the required hemodynamics from that. But should we be getting the hemodynamics from the time of the admit for the adverse event? Or is it okay to put hemodynamics from the time the patient is discharged? When entering adverse events, you should use the hemodynamics from that time to reflect what was going on with the patient at that time. So I would say take it from the real time of when the patient was admitted or was being evaluated for the event.
Yeah.
Not at the time of discharge.
Thanks, Patricia. The next question, I apologize, but my connection was cutting out. Did you say bivalirudin should be captured under antiplatelet therapy? I believe Patricia.
Yeah, Catherine,
Yeah.
I went back and I looked at the form to look at, just to remind myself of the different categories. I'm not sure. I feel like I might have to get back to you guys on this one. I don't think it fits under thrombolytic as it's a inhibitor. Catherine, what do you think? I'm not quite sure where it would fit.
Interesting enough, it might be something we need to add, because I know we have it in text, but we have not added it in Intermacs. So we have our team meeting tomorrow, and we can definitely talk about adding this, because we don't want to cause any confusion. And we'll definitely put this in the FAQs. We'll add it. The next question from Sue Ellen. In follow-up forms under comorbidities, the patient may not have testing done to determine lung disease, vascular disease, PAH, etc. during that follow-up period. if they have a previous history, do we still enter yes? Yes, you would. If they have in that comorbidity section, if they have had a history of it, you still need to answer yes. And the next question, if the sternotomy question doesn't include the VAD surgery per the last call, would it also not include subsequent sternotomies? So then would the answer ever change? Well, it's not. So if the patient has, it's going to change. And actually the prior sternotomy questions, and as Patricia said, we did add this to the FAQs. I believe our minimum was they need to have at least 3 or more. So your answer is going to change, because if you have a patient that's had like multiple cabbages, multiple open chest procedures, it's mainly the intent is to capture sternotomies for those chronically ill patients that would fall into that category. But for example, if the patient did have a device exchange, and let's say they're going on their 4th or 5th sternotomy, then you would include the primary VAD sternotomy. You just don't include the one that's occurring at the most recent hospitalization. And so if anyone has any more questions, please type your questions in the Q&A box. From Sue Ellen, in the implant section under additional operative details, should the answers be from direct surgeon observations only? For instance, the anesthesiologist sometimes comments in the TEE if clot is present in the ventricles or if there's PTO present. I believe it's not specifically from just the surgeon. If there's notes in there from another practitioner and there is something present, then I think it's valid to enter that. And Patricia, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it has to come directly from the surgeon.
Yeah.
I think the anesthesiologist would be acceptable.
Yeah, I think if anything's seen, then it's valid to enter that, definitely.
I can answer the next one. If a patient has been diagnosed with HIT, but repeat labs have not been completed during the follow-up form dates, do you continue to select yes using old results, or do you select unknown? I would say yes. If they had a diagnosis of HIT, I would continue to answer yes. What do you think, Catherine?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because they have been diagnosed with it, so it's yes.
For consistency.
Correct. Definitely. So we have a little, looks like we've answered all the questions. Just waiting for some more to come in. But feel free, if anyone has any suggestions for topics in the future webinars, please send those in. And it looks like we've got a couple more questions that have come in. Does that apply to the lupus element as well? I would agree. I mean, if they've been diagnosed with it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So.
Yes. The next question, in the implant section last entry, was clotting factor given to treat bleeding coagulopathy? I have only entered yes if coagulopathy was present and required treatment. I have not entered red blood cells that were given for expected replacement and when there was no clotting factor replacement needed. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we actually discussed this a couple of weeks ago. I know we're going to add some text for that section.
Yeah, I think that some people were missing the red blood cells in that section, and we were going to clarify it so that it could be captured there.
Yes. So I do think if they did receive the red blood cells, you're saying though it's for expected replacement when no clotting factor replacement needed. I think we're going to discuss this further, but Patricia, if you have any comments, because I know you had some experience with this.
Yeah, I had kind of missed that section too as well when I was doing it. I didn't realize that it was capturing the red blood cells as well. So yeah, I think we're going to discuss it more and clarify the text on the form so that it's not missed.
Yeah, and we'll talk to, this is a really good question. I'm pretty sure, well, I'll have to ask Dr. Pagani, who's the chair of the Intermacs task force, if it's given for expected replacement, if it needs to be captured there. And we'll address this in the FAQs. And then the next, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to read the next one, Angie. Is there a time frame for when the FAQs will come out? Are we shooting for the end of April in the next couple of weeks, Catherine?
Yes,
Okay.
we are.
Okay.
Shooting for the end of April. And so I would look under the appendices, under the user's guide, because that's where we'll post the FAQs.
Any other questions? Oh, looks like we got another one.
Yeah.
Will there be an option in the future to drill down to patient level detail on the quality reports? Ryan or Maceo, are you able to answer that?
I will go ahead. I know that we've been discussing it. There's some, speaking of drilling down, we're in the process of having discussions about adding a live dashboard. So I know that will definitely help sites drill down their data. There's also live data downloads, which is a really good tool. And you can drill down. It's really helpful.
Yeah. Hey, Catherine, this is Rama. I just wanted to add to that. Yeah, so drilling, so the dashboards that we're currently working on, you'll have the option to compare the site versus Intermacs, and also more granular filters where you could, if not at the patient level, at least we could apply a lot of detailed filters to get the numbers.
And the live data download that Catherine mentioned, I mean, we have the quarterly uploads, and those would have the patient's level data set. Depending on what the patient level data that you're trying to look at would be, but this is John Pennington. So, I mean, if you had questions about maybe how to even try to combine some of those live data downloads where it's form by form, I'm always happy to be a resource for that. And I know there were some, I'm not sure if in the site redesign they're still up there, but Devin Cole did some really helpful FAQs about using that Excel data also. But yeah, I mean, that would be a pretty straightforward and easily available to any user way to pull your patient level data down. It would just depend on the parameters you want to look at to get those merged together to where you can look at them.
Yeah, thanks, Rama and John. And I know, elaborating on that, I know Devin has put together, like John said, some really helpful tools and some teaching slides, and she's always available, just like John is, to help patients with those. The next question, sorry, I just joined, but had a question about the quarterly reports. How are we to get those? And is there anything that needs to be completed before we get them? I'm asking for my administrator. Well, currently the quarterly reports are sent to your site administrator. At this time, just due to the PHI that's in those reports, the site administrator is the one person that the reports are sent to. And Maceo, if you want to talk more about how a site can download those reports, that'd be great.
Yes, just please reach out to your site administrator, and they can log into the web-based data entry system and go through the tabs, report tabs, and download the zip files. If your administrator is needing the password to unlock the files that are in the zip file, please reach out and contact me.
Great, and you can actually get in touch with Maceo at the intermacs.reports at uabmc.edu address.
And I just went and pulled the URL. So any users that are interested in the chat, I've pasted the location where those form download FAQs live.
Thank you, John. That's great. One of the things I did want to talk, since we have some time, looks like we're done with the questions, is we will, since we are doing the updates to the site reports, those are just really continually evolving. We've got some things on the horizon, like I said, the Intermacs, the live dashboard, and then which is going to be really exciting, and we're hoping to have that launched by the time of AQO. So, in speaking of AQO, AQO is the data managers meeting for the STS national databases. This year it is going to be virtual. I'm highly, on the next webinar, we will have a guest who's going to go through the steps on how to submit an abstract for AQO. It's a really, I know there's many sites, many data managers use the data, if it's whether for their quality improvement process, joint commission, your internal processes. If you just want to get started and trying to do an abstract, AQO is a great place to start. But we are going to have a special guest next month who's going to go through the steps and kind of walk everyone through it, because it's not as scary as it seems. And I think Intermacs has such valuable data that there's many topics that you could use for your abstract. And Carol, right offhand, do you know when the deadline for that would be?
Not sure at this time. We're waiting for a couple contracting things to get complete, and then we'll be able to announce the opening from it. I was talking with Emily Conrad, who will be managing the abstract process, and it will likely be open through the beginning of July.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry, June. The beginning of June.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would highly encourage everyone to attend AQO this year. Intermacs and Pedimacs will have a day, and we have surgeons, we have data managers, we have heart failure docs that give presentations, and the staff at the Intermacs data warehouse kind of will give talks on kind of the intricacies. Some of it's live data downloads. John did one on the SAS data sets last year. I know Dr. Cantor's done multiple ones on drilling down your data on the report, but it's a really good venue. So I'd encourage everyone to consider attending, and not only attending, but submitting an abstract if you'd like to get your feet wet in that process. I don't think we have any more questions. Oh, we have one more. Just confirming that I heard correctly. The Intermacs Q4 reports will be delayed until April 15th, and Pedimacs Q4 will still be published today. Actually, the Intermacs Q4 reports will be delayed until the latest April 9th. Yes, the Pedimacs Q4 reports should go out today and tomorrow. April 15th is actually our Intermacs and Pedimacs reporting webinar. And so Dr. Cantor and his team in Maceo will be available to answer any reporting questions and to review any additions to those reports. The slides for the webinar and the recording will be posted probably by the end of the week. So you can go to the sts.org website under the Intermacs webinars. You can search for that and it will be posted. And I believe that that's a wrap unless anyone has any more questions.
I'll just add to piggyback off of Sheila's question about reports. The Q4 data sets will go up today as well. And I know I've had some direct contact with users that had issues with the encryption and unzipping their Q3. I've worked to remedy that. I've talked to some people that have tried and had no issues. But please, if you have any problems, reach out to me. Let me know, because we at the DCC think we've got that fixed for you.
Thanks, John. So thanks all the team members at the UAB Intermacs Data Warehouse. Thank you to Carolyn Land for your support from STS. And thank you to all the data managers for attending today. And again, please feel free to submit any ideas that topics you'd like for the upcoming webinar.
Thanks,
And
Catherine.
our next webinar will be April 15th on reports. So I look forward to speaking with y'all then.
Great, thanks. Thanks, everybody. Good job, Catherine.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
everyone. Everyone have a
Thanks.
good day. Be safe.
Great job, Catherine.
Thanks, Leah. Bye-bye.
Thanks.